Welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast review of Money in the Bank 2025. We're gonna break it all down for you guys. Did the show live up to the hype? Did you guys enjoy, the winners of the briefcases? Were all of the matches and the returns everything we thought they were going to be? We're gonna break it all down for you. As always, thank you guys so much for joining us for this podcast. I am Mike with 716 Sports Entertainment, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill. And guys, smash that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. I know we're getting real close to 100 subs, so as soon as we do, we're going to have that first giveaway. So we're going to actually put some details out for that pretty soon because we're getting like close enough there where I think we need to actually, stop teasing you guys with this giveaway. So with that, guys, let's break it all down. Money in the Bank 2025. So why don't we first talk about our overall thoughts of the show, like, kind of how it was laid out and, what you guys just sort of felt going into the show and how you kind of, don't get into the specifics, but how you guys came out of the show overall.
So I love Money at the Bank. It's probably outside of any of the big PLEs and events. I think Money at the Bank is probably my favorite one just because of how ridiculous and chaotic the matches are. I'm definitely glad that they filled out the card by adding that surprise match out of Worlds Collide because I think for the most part this show delivered for me. I really enjoyed it myself.
Yeah, it was this was probably the most interesting Money in the Bank in a long time. Just because I don't think you couldn't pinpoint who was going to win either one of those, and you had one with a not favorite one, and then you had one with a favorite one. So I had a ball. I stayed up late last night to catch it all because I was trying to turn it on, and I know it was still on like 11:30, and I'm like, oh no, and I caught a clip of Truth when I turned. I'm like, it spoiled it for me. So I turned it off for like a good half hour and turned it back on. The replay finally came up, so I just watched from beginning to end. But that entire show was let's just say it made up for some of the previous shows.
I agree.
I think a couple of the things that I want to get off my chest about this show just in general are I'm getting a little tired of the West Coast crowds. Just in general, they're bad. They're pretty much consistently bad. And I noticed it and obviously before and I know you guys kind of went into and I'm not gonna rehash this, but there were several spots where they were doing the "We Want Truth" chants, especially during the Becky and Lyra match. I didn't it felt like it was hijacking the match a little bit, and I didn't like that too much. And overall, I kind of think the crowd sucked, just in general, especially during the main event. And for a lot of the entrances too, there were a few people that got pops, but most people didn't get pops. And then when they were doing the entrances for the main event, people were going nuts for Cody, people were going nuts for Jay when they were doing their entrances, and people were going nuts for Cena. But then when the ring announcer announced every single one of them, all four of them got booed.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we doing here? You guys are kind of a shit crowd, And then I don't know, just they didn't really seem to cheer at a lot of spots, and there were the obligatory "we want tables" and stuff like that. But I gotta be honest with you, I think outside of their big four shows, I think every PLE should not be in the United States anymore, because I think these European crowds and these South American crowds just do such a better job. They really do. They're actual crowds. It seems like it's a fun environment to be in, and these U.S. crowds just lately have been terrible. And I think a lot of it is, spoiled by the internet wrestling community that just loves to shit on people, and I think it bleeds into the wrestling shows a little bit.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with where they're at. It's LA. I mean, I seen a Kardashian in the front row. So, I mean, does that tell you enough?
Mm-hmm. I didn't see that. Question though, too. Did the way that they had the venue set up seem kind of weird to you? Because at points it almost looked like the building was kind of empty.
Those green lights that were all over the place. I mean,
is that what it was?
Yeah, the building was full. They did announce a sellout. It was 16 or 17,000.
17,000.
Yeah, but you're right. The way the lighting was set up, it kind of looked empty on television, which was weird. But to further the point about the crowd a little bit, right before the main event, they had a segment with Triple H where they announced that WrestleMania is going to be back in Las Vegas again next year. What the shit? Like, are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but wasn't one of like as far as the matches, it wasn't one of the worst WrestleManias ever. But as far as crowds, it was the
Crowd's
worst
terrible.
WrestleMania ever. I don't think I've ever seen a worse crowd than that crowd, and it's so apparent that they're doing this just for money because like it was just gross. That crowd in Las Vegas was awful. I cannot believe they're going back there.
Well, I
That
think
is
New Orleans had a problem, didn't they? I think that's why they had to withdraw from it for
That
next
sounds
year.
that sounds right. There, I
Yeah, there
don't
was
know what all the
something.
specifics were, but
And
yeah.
I mean,
well,
of all the cities in the entire United States, the easiest place you can get anything set up like that is in Vegas. TKO's in Vegas.
that's what it
I
is.
mean, you could do whatever you want in Vegas whenever you want. So for WWE, it's probably easier to do that, to just go ahead and just switch it back to that venue because Vegas has no problem with allowing them to do whatever they want there.
With
Yeah,
how
so
many UFC things TKO runs out of Vegas, it has to be super simple for them to be like, oh, we need a big venue.
Mm-hmm.
you can get so many cities giving you whatever you want, though, to put something like
Yeah.
WrestleMania in your city. Like, I mean, Indianapolis would have been great. Anywhere that there's a dome would have been great. Hell, dude, I mean, even if they went back to Philly, like, there are
But
so many good places they could have gone for WrestleMania. Would have been awesome.
SummerSlam's always outdoors though. Usually it's outdoors.
WrestleMania.
Or WrestleMania is usually outdoors. So
It's 50-50.
I mean,
Yeah.
they like to have an outdoor event, venue a lot of the times, and I was shocked they were going back to Vegas. But I guess if you really think about the business part of it, New Orleans had to withdraw. You just left Vegas. You don't have to do too much to go back there next year. And usually they need to set these. They usually announce these like 2 years in advance.
Oh yeah,
So
they already. I think they already announced that next year's it might. Is it next year or the year after? It might be in like Saudi Arabia or something.
yeah, there was almost something
Wait, really?
overseas for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
They
like
were saying that.
2027 or 28 is going to be in Saudi Arabia.
That's insane.
But again, like I said, it's corporate now. They're all about making money now. This is not even about appeasing the fans or giving us a great product anymore. TKO is about the bottom dollar. And
Look at
this
the price of the tickets. That gives it away right there.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I would love to have a further conversation with you guys about TKO and ticket prices, and I think we need to do that in one of these points for our audience here. But in the meantime, we've kind of went off tangent, and mostly my fault here a little bit. But let's get right into the main show. So the main show started off with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match between Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Stephanie Vaquer. And what did you guys think of the match? What did you think of that? Tell me what you thought about some of the spots. What were some highlights, some lowlights on the opening bout? And did you like the winner?
Go ahead, Sean.
Well, going into it, this is probably one of the more loaded Money at the Bank women's matches that they've had in a while. You could look at it, and pretty much any of these women could have been seen as a potential briefcase holder. I mean, yeah, you don't normally see it with faces as much as you do heels, and I know that all three of us picked differently for this. I bet you're kicking yourself for changing your mind there, bud. Could have had that lead still, champ. But I kind of agreed with what you had said originally, Mike, with it being a money opportunity. Why putting it on Rhea? I think the eventual winner of Naomi kind of presents that same thing, though, with being able to have a unique looking briefcase wrapped in caution tape, most likely. I think that T and I were talking about it earlier, that with this being Naomi's fifth Money in the Bank match, I'm glad that she gets the chance to win. And I think for the character that she's playing, the Money in the Bank briefcase is the perfect continuation for that, especially since I think she's going to cash in on either Jade or Bianca.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I agree with that. I do want to give the flowers to Stephanie for putting on 3 matches within 48 hours. She wrestled nonstop for 2 days. And I mean, I don't think enough people's given enough credit for pulling that off, because it's rare that you ever see. I don't think you've ever seen anybody ever do that. So, the funny thing is, you could see in her face when she came out to the ring, she looked a little tired. she didn't have the big smile. She looked really tired, but she pulled it off. She didn't. She did what she had to do in the ring. She looked great in the ring. And like I said, we've said it. We thought the women's match was going to be great, and it was. It didn't disappoint at all. I am shooting myself in the foot for not sticking with my pick, and I hear now, going forward, I refuse to allow any of you clowns to make me change my mind.
Could have been a winner like me.
Yeah, I'm writing. Do not change your mind on anything you pick. But overall, the match was great. I did not expect. Like I said, obviously everyone thought Rhea was going to win, but I got no problems with Naomi winning. She's already in the middle of a storyline. It wasn't just some throwaway person to get the Money in the Bank briefcase like they've been doing over the last few years. They gave it to somebody who's actually is involved in the storyline, and based off how they got it lined up, it could be lined up for her. And then, like you said, with Jade or Bianca.
Yeah, I think begrudgingly, I think Naomi was the right winner. I think it's probably too soon for any of the NXT women. Like, it's definitely too soon for Stephanie. Julia seems like she's got her own thing going on, and I think Roxanne's kind of got her own thing going on as well right now. And Alexa seems to be involved in a story with Charlotte right now as well. And I think Rhea, like you guys have said it, Rhea doesn't really need it, So it's probably Naomi's probably the smart choice there, probably the right choice. And I think it's going to lead itself to kind of a big match, down the road, be it with her and Jade or her and Bianca and Jade or something like that. But I would be willing to bet that Naomi will probably cash in on Tiffany and probably win. And then you'll get some kind of match between the three of them at SummerSlam. Seems to make a lot of sense for me. Probably what happened at the Evolution show.
See, if I'm fantasy booking it, I'm having either Bianca or Jade win the women's Queen of the Ring match, win the title at SummerSlam, and then Naomi cash in on them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But overall, the match was excellent. There's some great spots where was it Alexa and Roxanne did the double code reds on the ladders. That was just a sick spot. And then Stephanie did the Devil's Kiss on Rhea. That was sweet. And then at the beginning of it, when Roxanne and Julia covered Rhea in all of those ladders, she kind of like hulked out of it. Like, it really kind of made her look like a star. The only thing that I think, as far as like spots in the match that kind of annoyed me a little bit, I don't really fault Julia for this, but I kind of think they made Julia look like a little bit of a goof when like she was kind of in the ring by herself for what seemed like way too long, when she was just like turning the ladder around kind of like in a circle. And I was like, climb the damn ladder for the damn match. But she didn't, for whatever reason, I think somebody must have missed their spot or something like that there, though. So she was probably just trying to kill time until whoever was supposed to get into place got into place. But yeah, overall, solid match. I think the right person won.
Big thing, too, out of that match is it doesn't look like anybody got hurt in it, which is definitely a concern with these Money at the Bank matches every year, is that it always feels like somebody like gets injured every year in it. And at least in this women's match, it looks like everyone managed to get out of it relatively unscathed.
And Triple H gives Stephanie a week off. She should not be on any of the shows at all this week.
Give that girl
no doubt she'll be out tomorrow, though.
Yeah.
Probably.
So moving on, we had an impromptu match between Dirty Dom and Octagon, which kind of came to be from the AAA show. Sean, I'll actually let you speak to how this one came to be, because I actually didn't watch the AAA show. I didn't have time for it yesterday.
So first off, they would 100% missed an opportunity by not having it be Dirty Dom versus Iguana Man or Iguana Jr. That is 100% would have been hysterical to watch. But the Worlds Collide show, I know T, you watched a little bit of it as well, was absolutely fantastic. Having Conan on there doing the talking and talking about how Rey Mysterio tied in so well. And apparently Octagon Jr., who I'm not super familiar with myself, it was a real big, really idolizes Rey. And so after they won their 6-man tag match, Iguana, Aerostar, and Octagon, Dom kind of confronted Octagon, called Rey a deadbeat dad, and Octagon went to Rey's defense. They got into a pull-apart brawl, And surprisingly, Dom said he'd put his title on the line. And I think the bigger thing is that my question, something like this, do we think we're going to see more AAA involvement going forward, or is this just going to be a one-off kind of thing?
I think it was just a one-off thing. Just what right now it's a one-off thing, just because they just had the worlds collide. Obviously, they must have had this lined up, or I'm thinking maybe Drew may have had something lined up
Oh,
for Money in the Bank with somebody, and because of his injury, they lost that fifth spot. And the easiest way is just to bring some of those guys in and let them do a match with somebody. But it was pretty funny watching Dominic on there. I did see that portion of it. Him talking about his deadbeat dad and all this. That was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, they just threw this match in because otherwise, I mean, they would not announce. You knew where this match was going as soon as he said he's putting the belt on the line. You're like, okay,
yeah.
great. This is just a match. This is just a filler match. Just get it over with. And I mean, it was all right. Dom didn't really do much in the match. He just kind of, punch, kick,
Frog splash.
frog splash, and the match was over.
Yeah, I think like to your point, I think it really felt like a filler match and like, just something that they needed to throw in there for whatever reason. They probably should have done it ahead of time, but maybe that was kind of the whole point as well to kind of try and get people to tune into the AAA thing. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, there were Dom is definitely coming into his own as a wrestler. He looks really good when he does the frog splash, and he really is really good at playing to the crowd. So, I give Dom full marks to like how far he has come over the past couple of years. So next we moved into the third match of the evening, which was for the Women's Intercontinental Championship between champion Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Reese, what did you think of this match and your DQ finish that didn't happen?
Oh, I thought it was coming. I thought it was going to come. I was waiting for it, but obviously not. That was a good. They put on a good match. I had fun watching them two in the ring. Both of those guys just going back and forth with their finishers, and both of them kicking out over and over again. I mean, I thought they the only spot that was weird was that she did the manhandle from the top rope, but she still kicked out of it. I was just like, maybe you should have waited for that to end the match with that, but whatever. I had fun watching it, and the way it ended too was great. I was expecting Becky to go ahead and clothesline her or something, but I mean, they did a swerve on us. I mean, you had Lyra come in and just start clocking her and beating her up and left her in the ring. I mean, the one thing that I did call was that they're going to ride this out again because they didn't end it, obviously, and I think they're going to probably line them up again for a fatal three-way match with Bayley. I bet for SummerSlam.
So I feel like that was the biggest missed opportunity here was not having Bayley come out afterwards. Having Becky win was definitely the right decision overall. And I do agree with you. Usually when you save up three finishers and hit that super finisher, it ends the match. But I don't know if they did that just to basically show that Lyra was hard to keep down. But I feel like that definitely should have ended the match there. And afterwards, the attack by Lyra on Becky, normally that's something you see a heel do. So I get like she was being antagonized by Becky like over and over there.
Quite a bit. I mean, Becky was like making her raise her hand multiple times and like put the belt on me, and
But Lyra usually plays this super goody like two shoes type character, so I feel like it adds a little bit of an edge to her that she has a breaking point that she finally reached, and hopefully they use that to add on to her character. And she isn't quite so nice going forward. So when she ends up beating Becky again, because I imagine she will, she just beats the ever living dirt off of her.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And that's probably where it will end up. But I think to your point, Becky got the roll up obviously by holding the tights to kind of win there. I feel like like Bayley has to come back, right? Like we're all kind of sort of predicting Bayley was going to come back at some point during this match, either during it or after it was over. And it seemed like I was kind of like waiting, when Lyra was like raising her hand and Becky kept having her like raise her hand to different spots and then like put the belt on. I'm like, come on, like Bayley, anytime now, Bayley, like where are you? And it never came to be. So I got to imagine that that's going to happen on Raw tomorrow. Like it just seems like, like absolutely, probably the next chapter of this story between these two women.
And Lyra had a nasty welt on her back too
Yeah.
from one of the spots there. And it looked nasty.
What I think it was when she went off a table, right?
So it was the table, and then her whole back was bleeding. You could see the big, tear going down her back. So yeah, hats off to the ladies for again putting their bodies on the line.
These two, just the two of them work so well together. It's hard to imagine them having a legitimately bad match.
Yeah.
Unless it ends in some sort of stupid, goofy fashion. I feel like that's the only thing that would ruin a match between these two.
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree. So this led us into the fourth match of the evening, which was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match between LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins, and El Grande Americano. So this match was nuts. Like just absolutely off the chain. There were so many spots in this match, so many things to talk about from, all of the different sequences, all of the interference that happened at the end, and Seth Rollins coming out on top after it was all over, which seemed like, even though none of us got that right, it seemed the obvious choice was, in fact, the correct choice. So what did you, Sean, I'll let you kick this one off. What did you think of the match? What did you think of all of the interference and some of the high spots and some of the low spots?
The match was absolutely fantastic. I mean, all of those guys in the ring are incredible, and they're all built for this kind of match. I do think that Seth winning is the safest route for them, especially because it tells the easiest story with what he is doing with his consolidating power and how the briefcase allows him to basically control his own destiny, which I think only goes as far as Monday, but talk about that in a sec. But I think that similar to what you said about Julia earlier, Penta kind of was made to look goofy with when he was up at the top of the ladder for a little bit too long, waiting for someone to get him and knock him down. But I loved everything about this. The Mexican destroyer on the ladder, Andrade getting castrated, the incredible turn of Fatu on Solo, and the I hate you Solo was just incredible.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
And I mean, and Fatu almost murdered Bronson Reed, which was pretty entertaining too. But yeah, I think that other than that, I mean, I also feel like this is kind of the beginning of the end for LA Knight as well, as far as his being pushed on the higher end of things. Because I don't see where he goes from this, especially with this being his third one now where he's lost like that. But I think overall, everyone comes out of it looking pretty good and pretty safe as far as storytelling direction. And go El Grande.
And what was interesting too, I remember that was the part that they showed. Which Kardashian was it that was there that's married to the
Chloe?
Is it Courtney Kardashian?
Courtney or Chloe? You might be right.
I believe it's Courtney that's married to Bart.
The hell one person.
And the crowd was booing them as soon as they put him on the camera. They booed the hell out of him. And they're in LA. I was shocked by that. So at least the crowd got something right that night, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, it was fun. I had a ball watching that match. I mean, they the timing in this match was near perfect because every one of these guys had an opportunity to touch the briefcase, and at any moment it felt like one of them was going to win it. I mean, it even got to a point where I even thought Americano was going to win it. He was up there grabbing at the briefcase, and I was like, "Whoa, are they going to let him?" Andrade grabbing a hold of the briefcase. I mean, like, barehanded it, no ladder, just hanging in the air. I mean, they did everything. They did everything you're supposed to do in the Money in the Bank. I did not understand the whole, like you said, the crowd with who puts tables in the ladder and the Money in the Bank match. And I'm like, why are you doing that? It's the dumbest thing I ever heard. By the way, is Fireball struggling with profits?
Yeah, right.
Why didn't they just put Fireball on all the ladders? Seriously. Why didn't you do that? You might as well just put them on all the ladders. You had all the advertisement you need. It was just weird putting that one big ladder ring at one point that had Fireball on it. But it was great. I mean, Andrade even impressed me because I've never been all that impressed with Andrade, but he did stuff in here that I've never seen him do before. So, I mean, again, it could be another situation of him being a Mexican wrestler and having that lucha style and WWE doesn't really allow them to really do a whole lot in that style of wrestling. I mean, they have moves from Lucha Libre, but they don't really do an entire match. And I didn't know Andrade was that athletic. So hats off to him too. But other than that, I thought Pimble was going to pull it off. I thought he was so close twice. I thought he was going to give it to him. I was about to it was like 2:00 in the morning when I was watching. I got ready. I was waiting. I had my phone in my hand so I could text you pricks. And then all of a sudden he gets pulled down. I'm like, okay. He was up. I mean, remember that one? He was up there for like a minute.
Yeah, he was.
Just standing there, just fumbling around with this suit. I'm like, just take it. But yeah, I definitely get it. It gets all A's for me.
You know, I think like this definitely helped a lot of guys look like bigger stars when they came out of this match versus going into this match. Minus, I would think LA Knight and maybe even El Grande Americano a little bit. Like, I don't really think his stature kind of changed that much. This helped Andrade a lot. This helped Penta a lot. Obviously, Rollins wasn't really going to change that much. But I'll tell you who this helped the most. I think Solo.
Yep.
This helped Solo a lot. I really did. And I got to tell you, you know who's a huge friggin' star? Jacob Fatu. Oh my God, is Jacob Fatu a big friggin' star? He is going to be a monster baby face. Like if they package him well, which I think they will, he is going to be at the top of the card for a long time. Sean and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday during the show, and him and Braun Breaker, that is the main event of WrestleMania probably in 2 years from now.
Yeah, 2 years from now, yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, both of those guys are just, they're the future, and they both look like $1 million. They both got the charisma, just everything about them. They're both involved in very high profile storylines right now, I think it's fantastic. But Solo, I love Solo's facial expressions throughout this match when they were throwing when they're all beaten down on Rollins, and then they threw him out, and then they threw out El Grande Americano. He was kind of like looking at him, going like, "What?" And he turned around, and he was like, "Oh shit!" It was pretty cool.
He forgot he was the heel.
Yeah.
Solo's facial expressions are starting to really remind me of Rikishi.
Yeah, but like I said, I think I mentioned it when we talked on the last, but we covered the Go Home show. I'm starting to become a fan of Solo because they're letting him use the mic. He's becoming a character in the ring now, and this is also how you make stars. It's not just the wrestling; it's also how you play out a match and how you play out storylines. And it was perfect. I didn't expect that to happen in that match, but it was cool to see them all. The bloodline comes out. You got Seth's guy standing in the ring, and I was like, "Oh, this is about to go down." And sure enough, they didn't disappoint. Did not disappoint.
Kind of surprised we didn't see Sammy or Punk though interfere.
Well, I mean, I thought this was. I mean, you can only do that so much. I think if you keep doing it, it gets to a point where you just get bored with it. And
but
you had a lot of interference spots already, though. You had 4 guys come out. I mean, it might have been too much, and maybe that's why they decided against it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I didn't see any point. I was expecting CM Punk to come running out or something like that, but especially at the point where Seth's. Why was he taking so long to go up the ladder? By the way, when he had the match locked up, did you notice that he just kept looking around? I'm like, dude, what are you doing right now? I mean, the match is over. We all know it. Just get up the ladder. So that was a little funny, but yeah, I don't think you needed CM Punk or anybody. There's so many other storylines that are crossing right now for this particular match. You didn't need to muddy it up more with having CM Punk or Sammy coming out.
Yeah, I agree. I think Seth is the right winner. He's the safe winner, and do you guys want to talk about now where the cash in that we think is going to happen in about 36 hours?
Yep, right. I think that's where it happens.
Yeah, I mean, Jay took a beating in that match, which was kind of interesting. They let him take the beating. He took all the big shots in this match out of everybody in it, which kind of tells me he's going to be beat up for Gunther tomorrow.
Yep.
And I do think that Seth at some point Gunther's going to get the best of Jay. Seth's going to come down. They're going to take out Gunther, and he's going to take the belt. I think that's what happens Monday. But I do think that you get Tribal Chief to come back right after that.
So I think it's much more impactful if Jay manages to muscle out the win over Gunther, and then Seth cashes in on an extremely beaten down Jay, especially just storyline wise. Because then you can send Gunther off to do whatever, and you can continue Seth's storyline with Jay and Sammy and Punk as the main players. I don't think Gunther really fits in that well with that storyline, but I think Jay pulls out the win by the skin of his teeth. Seth cashes in, wins the title, and turns around into a spear from Roman.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. Not a whole lot. I think that you can have Seth just in the middle of the match when it looks like Gunther's about to win it to send Braun Breaker and Bronson down there to stop it because he's not going
Yeah.
to want to go against Gunther. He'd rather take it from Jay. So I could probably see them getting Gunther out of the ring, and then Seth gets in there and takes the belt. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Gunther's going to get his power bombs on him, and then all of a sudden they're going to come out, and that's when all hell's going to break loose. But again, I expect the Tribal Chief to show up in that show tomorrow night too.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's Raw is definitely going to be a doozy. So this led us into the main event of John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and main event Jey Uso. This match, something else. I mean, this is the match that kind of really annoyed me with the crowd a lot. I kind of mentioned at the beginning, like everyone except for Logan Paul got a really big pop as they were doing their entrances, but then when they were all being ring announced, they all got booed. Like all four of them got booed, and that was kind of like, yeah, you guys are awful. Like you're an awful crowd. And there were the several instances of the "We Want Truth" chant throughout this match as well, which also kind of annoyed me a little bit. But I mean, this was kind of a very by the books WWE tag match, right? Like Jay was in there for a real long time, and they were beating him down, beating him down, beating him down, and the heels, obviously couldn't get along. They were kind of pushing each other a little bit, which allowed Jay to get the hot tag for Cody. Cody came in and kind of run roughshod, and it led to just a whole bunch of finishers all in a row. And I'll let you guys kind of break down the ending sequence. And one thing I did want to mention was Logan Paul and that incredible springboard moonsault that he did off the second rope to smash through Jay on the table. Holy crap. Like, I hate Logan Paul's guts. I think he's a horrible human being, but my God, that was really cool. That was really freaking cool.
Well, he had a couple of botches too in the match. I don't know what's up with his shoes, but he slipped off the rope and he slipped in the ring. He tried to do the slingshot into the ring and slipped. Then he tried to get up on the ropes, slipped. He might need to change his shoes because the crowd was laughing. He was trying to play it off, but the crowd was laughing at him.
So the buckshot lariat where he slipped, with the way that Jay immediately turned that into a super kick,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he was meant to screw up on that one. Just as like to continue the story there of them not really being cohesive together, him and Cena. So part of me feels like that one may have been intentional. But you're right, Mike. That aside moonsault to the outside of the ring, holy shit, was that a beautiful moonsault? And when he called down the drone and was holding the drone when Cody got up there and superplexed him, and then Jay Frog splashed him, that was probably one of the best visuals that WWE has done this year. And it was probably one of the cooler sets of camera work they've done. Question, though, out of this is with the dissension between Paul and Cena, are we going to get a Logan Paul Cena match this year?
It's interesting. I wouldn't be surprised, but I just think that it's almost like, well, why? Because you keep putting Logan Paul in these matches to lose.
Yeah.
So now it kind of defeats the purpose to me.
I was just thinking about it, watching them fight and shove each other. If at some point we were going to get some sort of argument between them and him with the way they were like, well, I'm the champ and I'm trying to teach you. He's like, well, I'm better than you. Like, it feels like it could be used to set up some sort of match between the two of them. And then obviously the biggest story out of all of this is the appearance of a former TNA champ at the end of the match, Ron the Truth Killings, to save the match. And absolutely incredible. I believe T mentioned it on the Go Home show that I missed, so I wasn't aware that he had psychic powers there. But I'm not sure how it came about, if it was I really do hope that it was WWE coming to their senses and listening to everybody, and they're voicing their unhappiness about Truth being let go, and that's why they brought him back, and that this wasn't the case of being a work, because being a work when other people are getting fired, uh, kind of feels slimy to me. You know what I mean?
Well, they already cleared it up this morning, that it's not a work. It wasn't a work. He was released. They interviewed Cody. Cody mentioned, they asked him about R-Truth coming back, and he said, "Well, we listen. That's nice, and that's the one thing you say about us at WWE." Blah blah blah. The typical corporate speak answered, but we listen to the fans and blah blah blah. My understanding from the reports, from what I saw last night, said that he actually, the contract was signed within the last 72 hours. So they were already negotiating for over the last 3 days, and to get him onto the Money in the Bank to do a spot.
Okay.
My understanding too is, though, he originally, like I think you mentioned on one of our previous, I think maybe the Raw show, or no, it was right. Yeah, it was right after Truth got released. You had mentioned that he was probably going to go to TNA, and that was the case. He was supposed to sign with TNA. They did say he got multiple phone calls from other independent organizations. TNA was where he was supposed to sign because they wanted to bring him onto their roster. But WWE stepped in, a few days ago and just renegotiated a new contract and brought him back, which, again, I got no problems with it. Like the crowd, think about it. I mean, if the crowd didn't do that, Truth wouldn't be back.
I mean, him and TNA makes sense being a former world champ there, but he belongs in WWE to finish his career.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of time and the even with having left and come back for the almost 20 years that he did, and everything that he's done, being the 7-Eleven 240 million days a year, 24/7 champ, and all the goofiness is definitely he deserves it. My only question going out of this though is what version of Truth are we going to see here? Is he going to continue calling himself R-Truth, or is he going to go by Ron Killings and be like more serious, like back when he was bad guy with the Miz?
Well, I don't think you change him because that's why you signed him, is because he's the levity for the, for segments. So it doesn't make any sense to re-sign him and not continue to have him do that. I think somehow, some way he'll be involved with John Cena going forward. But I mean, this is why he made him, why get rid of what made him popular?
I think it would be poetic if he actually ended up being the one to help Cody defeat John Cena when it's
Yep.
all said and done, right? Like maybe, I don't want like the Avengers 2.0, what we had at WrestleMania a year ago, but I think it would be a bit poetic if R-Truth was involved, like in some way, shape, or form, or even like if R-Truth was involved in John Cena becoming a face again, because that's obviously going to happen right before he retires. They're not going to let him go out as a heel, so um, I think that would be like a nice touch, a nice send off as well, because they've definitely really involved R-Truth quite a bit here, a lot more than any one of us thought that they were going to when Cena announced this. Announced this year-long run that he was going to have. Like nobody thought there was going to be anything more than like a fun backstage segment with R-Truth, and like there's been multiple on-screen sequences now, including the Saturday night's match that happened a couple of weeks ago. So,
Well, also, I didn't know that, how much merch he actually sells.
mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing. So with TKO, it made sense. Okay, he's popular. We understand he's older. He's got a bloated contract. But he does sell merch. Crowd wants him. Renegotiate. Probably. Obviously, he's probably getting paid less than what he was getting paid before. But I just need TKO to just we got to stop. I mean, this releasing people and pushing. I don't even know why they're even involved in any of the conversations in terms of storylines or any of how they're dictating all this. This is just bizarre to me. Because even when Vince was there, they had the board, but Vince was still, obviously he had, 1% control of it all. He was at 51% of the ownership. But still, you don't hear too much about the board pushing him to do things in matches. You rarely ever heard storylines about that. TKO, they should be hands off. You own the company. Let WWE do its thing. And I'm be honest with you, if this keeps up, you might see the downfall of WWE, in my opinion, because now they turn into more about just generating money. And they're going to start pricing regular everyday wrestling fans right out. Same thing NFL is starting to do with their fans. And I mean, the difference is that I think WWE obviously is a lot weaker than the NFL. NFL is going to, Shield's going to stand regardless. But I think WWE is going to take a hit if this keeps up.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some truth to that. No pun intended. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, and I think they'll eventually get to a point where and it will be one of those sequences where it might be a little too late because they'll start to lose market share, at some point. But I think the bigger problem right now is there is a certain quantity of people in this country, in the world, who enjoy watching wrestling, and unfortunately, AEW is down right now. It's not AEW is not a good product right now. So this is kind of allowing WWE to get away with what they're doing right now. If they had more competition, like in AEW was, 2019, 2020, AEW, WWE would be in a lot of trouble right now. They really would. But AEW, frankly, is a joke right now. And, you got your own wrestlers. Like the other day on AEW, Ospreay had cut a promo where he was literally like, the reason AEW is a joke right now is because Jon Moxley is our champion. He literally said that on live television. Like, I don't think he meant it to come out that way, but it came out that way, and it's like the whole world sees them kind of as a joke right now. And like, they really need to get their crap together, and like, I think wrestling as a whole was better 3 years ago, right? Like, when Cody first came back over to WWE, and like AEW was like in its heyday, when Punk was still over there and things like that. Like, it was just much better times for wrestling, and AEW should be counting their lucky stars that they got that big TV money deal when they did, because I don't think they deserve it right now.
So, as weird as it sounds, WWE's success ties directly into the quality of AEW's creativity. The dumber you have the stories over there, the dumber the stories WWE can get away with, because you have such a lack of. I mean, look at the two promotions and how frequently both of them are running similars that are relatively similar, or stories that are relatively similar, and how their booking just doesn't make sense because they can get away with it. And until there's a product that can be watched as an alternative, like, it's not going to matter. Like, I know neither of you guys really watch AEW to the degree that I do. And there's just no real reason to tune into that. We watch WWE because that's obviously what we talk about and we enjoy it more. But AEW needs to give us a reason as wrestling fans to tune into their brand of weirdo wrestling.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, we've said it multiple times on this podcast that until AEW gets their act together, WWE has all the leeway in the world to keep doing dumb things and I hate to say it, rip off the fans, because there's no other competition right now. And they pretty much own the other competition in TNA, and they also now they have the AAA. So I mean, they're making a big monopoly when it comes to wrestling. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully TKO kind of takes a step back. So now hearing rumblings about The Rock showing up again, I guess, pretty soon with the next few weeks, I guess. I don't know. But that's another rumor I've seen floating around the internet that The Rock's supposed to be showing up. And I'm like, they're just not going to learn. And the problem, again, is, like I said, I don't understand why they invited The Rock onto their board. I just don't understand that at all. Yeah, but you didn't need him to make money.
Visibility, too.
Huh?
Visibility, too. You bring on The Rock, who is one of the most recognized faces in the world, and people are like, oh, it's The Rock. We want to tune into what they're doing.
Yeah, but see, that's just it. If you're a real wrestling fan, that's not the case. And people who don't watch wrestling aren't going to turn it on just because The Rock showed up.
They might. There's people who are fans of The Rock from outside wrestling who
but that's the same thing they do in movies too now. WWE has jumped the shark. They're now a corporation ran by a board, and they're going to do what they do to all the stuff that we love, especially us who love pop culture. like they did with Marvel, like they did with DC. Like the WWE's going down the same line now. They're doing
You're
this.
right.
Screw the
I
fans.
mean,
We don't care. We just want to make money.
WWE has always been that way to a degree, though. I mean, look at everything they do with these celebrities. Look at the fact that they have who is it, Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B? I don't know which one it is, hosting SummerSlam. Like, we don't need this kind of stuff. Or when they have Snoop Dogg show up randomly at WrestleMania to try to draw more eyes to the product. WWE is, what's the word I'm looking for? Always looking for like any celebrity they can to bring more eyes to them. And it's just you see it across all of wrestling because everywhere does it because you figure you can draw in fans of other things by like when they had the Rizzler and whatever the hell the that meme guy is over on AEW. Like what reason do you have for bringing these kind of people in other than you're trying to bring their fan bases to watch as well?
We're getting way off topic here, so
Yeah, I'm done with that.
let's save this for a for another episode because
We
I do want
definitely should do a video on the state of WWE.
I would really love to like have a long conversation with you guys about ticket prices and kind of the future of wrestling. So let's make a note to to have that for our audience for the future here. But overall, that was our breakdown of Money in the Bank 2025. So let us know what you guys thought in the comments down below. As always, smash that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And have yourselves a great evening and take care.